Mm. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Boy, you know you make me float, float, boy, you really keep me high. Ooh, I feel like I'm on dope, dope, 'cause you serve me on a regular.
To my YouTube, I've been making sure I've been filming content that aligns with me and uploading every single week, even in busy weeks. Today I'm filming on a Sunday. I see the value and see how much it's changing people's perceptions and what they're doing and how they're feeling, and it's just like, it's really nice to see that the impact is being made. But today's video, I actually wanted to speak about how my training has actually changed in the last, I'd say, 2 years. Now, let's give some context here. I've been training since I was 13, so that's nearly 17 years in the gym. And I would say in the last 2 years, I've seen the biggest shift, meaning that I've seen the biggest change. But what has actually changed? So I finished my prep in December of 2024. And I realized then that as much as I know how to train with intensity, I needed to make sure that I was training with accuracy. So we stripped it right back. I went back to developing a mind-to-muscle connection. So the first thing I did was I made sure that I was in contact with my coach after every single session. I was feeding back, giving biofeedback to say, I was feeling it here, I was feeling it here. There were certain muscle groups that we knew that I shouldn't necessarily train with a high amount of volume. So keep them kind of the same, not downsize, but they're where they need to be. Examples in my physique, my quads and my adductors, they don't really need to grow, they grow quite fast. I'm very lucky, but my glutes and hamstrings always need to come up. My whole upper body and my anterior needed to come up. So here's a clear example. When I was performing a leg press, was I feeling it in the quad? Was I feeling it in the glute and the hamstring? Obviously you're going to feel it in the quad, but is it biasing the quad? Relearning all movement patterns was so important, and that's why I have such a fine attention to detail. So I made myself a rule, because anyone that knows me knows I love to train with load. If I maxed a rep range or went beyond the rep range, what I would do is I'd film it and send it to my coach. From there, I would make sure that if he said, yeah, we're good to progress, then I'd progress. If we weren't, then I'd have to hold or reset the movement. It stopped me chasing load. It stopped me chasing further than where I needed to go. So for me personally, this has worked so well. I need to completely reset the movement. So for me particularly, I knew that there were certain movements that I knew I needed to relearn. So for example, there's 3 muscles in your glute. Now, most recently after our mini cut, I saw gaps in my physique that I knew I needed to work on. So me and coach sat down, brainstormed, and I'm having to relearn those neuro pathways. Certain movements of mine I can generally connect quite well with, but certain movements have had to be retrained, and I'm not afraid to say that I needed to retrain them. So that's something else that I've had to do. Number 3, I have incorporated other forms of movement. When I say that Pilates has massively changed my life, I do a mix of normal mat, hot mat, and reformer. All 3 of them have really, really helped me develop a mind-to-muscle connection to my abdominals, my core, my posture, my spinal alignment. If you don't know, Pilates was actually created for spinal health. So it's something I encourage people with any type of osteoporosis, arthritis, anything like that, that they go and try a Pilates session. You can even do it on YouTube. Pilates for me has massively changed my life. I've been doing it once a week since November, and I'll come into the next 4th point. But for me, connecting and bracing throughout the movements has been really beneficial. So number 4 would be learning how to brace with different movements, developing that core, understanding that our hip flexors are connected to our abdominal wall. all of this has not just translated to my posing, but also positively translated to my lifting. It has enabled me to make sure that I'm lifting with intensity, but with the right form. If I'm, for example, squatting, bracing, learning how to do these simple elements, I never got taught. So it's about redeveloping all of the lifting techniques. Something else which I've massively learned, more is not always right. Now, I was training 5 days for the best part of 14, 15 years. Ever since we dropped down to 4 days, I have seen my body grow, rest, recover, and I almost have that buzzing excitement to the gym. Now, I never understood people that trained 4 days before, but now I'm doing 3 lower, or 3 legs, and 1 upper, and that is what my recovery capability is maxed out at. Also, dropping down my leg volume has seemed to propel my growth even further. So it's really interesting for me to watch that for someone that will always do the most, always do more than what's needed. Sometimes that isn't the best way. Sometimes actually dropping it back and realizing actually doing less is better was a really big, hard pill to swallow. But all of this has encompassed how I felt that my training has changed, especially in the last 2 years. And I wanted to document that sometimes doing less is better, taking your recovery as seriously as your gym sessions. My sleep hygiene has massively improved over the past 5 years anyway. I was a shift worker, I was a night shift worker, so I understand the importance of circadian rhythm and setting myself up for success, especially with sleep and recovery, but taking into account the micro details for training. Bodybuilding isn't just about what you can lift, it's all about the accuracy and intensity that you provide to the stimulus of the muscle. And that's something that I have massively developed, and I feel like that's why I've seen the most amount of growth in the past 2 years, because I've taken training to a new level, and I've also understood the importance of making sure that I'm training with the right accuracy alongside intensity. And I feel like training for me is my bread and butter. It's the reason why I love the gym. I find that I thrive on it when I'm working extra busy weeks. It's my time for me, and I encourage this with all clients and people I speak to. When you transition the gym from being something you have to do or something that you physically, get benefits out of, when you actually start to see the mental benefits, you start to benefit a lot more. And that's why I train. I train for the mental benefits. Obviously, the physical benefits are a byproduct, but for me, training is my bread and butter and always has been, and I'm hoping that I'm showcasing that throughout my channel, my YouTube channel, alongside my Instagram, which I share a lot of training content on, especially my top set or my back, a set that I needed to showcase. I document it mainly for myself. Most of it doesn't even go to Instagram, but I show it in a way that I hope that I can encourage others. Sometimes in life you will always hit a hurdle, but it's how you work around that hurdle. So for myself, I'm a very petite bikini competitor, and I understand that I need to grow even more muscle to be able to mold the category. And I'm not afraid to put the hard work in. It will just take me a little bit longer. I have a very petite structure, so I know I need to grow even more muscle to accommodate that. So I hope that this little segment of documenting how my training has changed in the past year helps you in some capacity. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. Make sure you give this video a like, and make sure you give my channel a subscribe, because there'll be weekly videos every single week. But apart from that, I hope you have a bright and beautiful rest of your week.